All right, Mr. Hillebrand, Sera's history reaches back a long time, more than 70 years from now. And the first high pressure pump was developed in the early 50s. Does the products that you produce today have anything in common with the first pumps back that time?
Yes, of course. There are still many things in common what we have compared to the technology we started in 50s, but nevertheless, many things continued and improved, and we developed of our technology. And yesterday I explained this in the technical forum. We presented our new second hydrogen compression technology. So you see, we are moving forward.
Okay, and what are typical industrial use cases for your gas compressors? Can you give us some examples?
Yes. In general, we have two product divisions in our company. One is a dosing technology and one is gas or compression technology. And the gas and compression technology where I am from, we do not focus on air compressors. And we also do not focus on, let's say, classical standard gases. We focus a lot on critical gases and on gases, let's say, where you want that they are compressed absolutely clean. Yeah? So that is our focus. So there's a wide range of application, ultra clean gases you find in microelectronics, semiconductor, medical industry, and critical gases, chemical industry, nuclear industry, so many different industries and many different applications and many different challenges.
Okay, let's look at the challenges, because your slogan is not something about the highest pressure that is available, but your slogan is clean, safe and reliable. Does it mean it's more difficult to produce a reliable system than to have a maximum pressure?
Well, both is difficult. Machines, technologies for high pressures, that is not so easy. And here, especially in hydrogen market, we compress to 500, 600, 700, sometimes 1,000 bar. So that is definitely not so easy. But reliable means that we want that the machines are running, that they do not stop. Yeah, that we can under every condition that we get a good performance and output. Yeah? So both are, of course, from a technical point of view, challenges and difficult.
Okay, and this reliable systems is also very important for refueling stations. Now, since when is your refueling station on the market now?
When I remember right, that was before I was in that company, but I think in the early 2000s we produced the first hydrogen filling stations. That was, of course, more a demonstration plant. When I remember right, what my colleagues are saying, it was a demonstration plant for forklifts. Yeah, so we had already a long experience with a complete system. Nevertheless, apart from that, we have also supplied in the past exclusively also compressors for other ones who are making filling stations. You know.
So the first one was built for forklifts, and now my question is, for which business model the newest generation of this refueling station is designed? I mean, for example, cars, buses or trains, they all need different pressures.
Yes, you're right. Different pressures and especially different output and volume. And in fact, that is a thing why we have said hydrogen refueling stations is a market which requires, let's say, different setups. No? So we have today now two different compressor technology. We are traditionally a diaphragm compressor manufacturer. And so it's a traditional technology, nearly 100 years on the market. And our goal is now to go with this diaphragm compressors, especially for small hydrogen filling stations, for demonstration plants. They are existing. In fact, some customers say, yes, hydrogen filling stations are interesting. I buy a car, yeah? I buy a car by my own and I want to have the small hydrogen filling stations. And these are, for example, applications where we can support, in general, this industry. So our focus is on small hydrogen filling stations, demonstration plants, where we are using our diaphragm compressors. And for bigger stations, we have recently developed our new dry running piston compressor with an electrohydrostatic drive. So that is more a compressor for high output, for high volume, especially for bus, for trucks, and also for marine and rail.
So you already have both of the business models in focus, that you can offer your customers this both sides, the volume and also the smaller refueling stations. Now, I don't have so much idea how such a refueling station exactly works, and is it just a pump to compress the low pressure hydrogen into high pressure right in time during the car arrives or the bus arrives, or which different techniques are installed?
Yeah, in fact, it's not only a compressor. You need, first of all, the hydrogen. And there you have different possibilities. Yeah, you can that the hydrogen is supplied by a trailer. Yeah, but of course it's also possible that the hydrogen is produced on site via electrolyzer or whatever. Okay, so you need first hydrogen. Yeah, and very often you have to buffer it. You have to store it. Yeah. And then you have to compress, and you need a control, and you need a dispenser. And if we have, if you want to fill passenger cars, we need a cold fill system. So all in all, it's a relatively complex system. But nevertheless, we are a compressor manufacturer from the basics. So we are of the opinion that the compressor is the heart of it.
Okay, so compressors are most important, but it's a complex system. And which parts of the station can be modified or customized when I come to you and I say, okay, I have now forklifts, like 20 forklifts. How can you react on such individual demand?
Yeah, in fact, with our system, what we are now offering in the market, we can start very small, yeah? Because with our two compressor technology, we have a good possibility to begin in the beginning very small, with a very small diaphragm compressor, and with not a big cooling system on the top, with very small buffer tanks, with small storage. So it is a very good system that you can scale up. And not only the storage tanks and the buffer tanks, also, let's say, we call it technical container, where we have the compressor inside, that we can very well adapt and modify, and the customers can start small and can grow with it. That is very important. That is our target.
Now, looking to Germany, it's known for its regulations. How difficult is it to develop such a safe compressor system on the one side, and also on the other side, then get a building permission? For example, for a private household, I can imagine it could be something new for the municipalities.
Yeah, that's true. In Germany, we have lots of regulation, but for hydrogen, it's not only German regulation, but we have to consider there are lots of international regulations, and that is, of course, for such a small company that we are. I mean, we're not too small, 230 people, but to take care about all the regulations is not so easy. Yeah, and then it's always so that you have to practice. Yeah, that is also a reason why we have our own hydrogen filling station, because that was a good way to understand how the regulations are working.
And do you help your customers to get that they were allowed to build the stations, or do they build them on site maybe? I mean, in the public space, it could be not so easy.
No,
Do you help them?
Yes, of course we help them, and that takes also always a lot of time. Yeah, and because there are always so many, let's say, different conditions, and that is important that the customer, that we support them, that we help them, that we explain what is the best from a space point of view, from a storage point of view, from a compressor point of view.
Yeah.
It's always a project that takes its time.
Yeah, definitely. Do you know something about numbers? On the one hand, how many of these stations did you sell already? Maybe if you are allowed to say something about that. And on the other hand, how is the market situated right now? Let's say in Germany or also in Europe, if you have any idea about numbers.
Yeah. We have sold so far 6 hydrogen filling stations.
600.
No, 6. Sorry, 6.
6.
Yes. And all these are non-public hydrogen filling stations. And in fact, we have in Germany now the situation that I think the latest numbers are a little bit more than 62 public hydrogen filling stations. But there are also some other ones on facilities, like our ones, for example. So all in all, maybe we have 85 hydrogen filling stations, I expect, in Germany and in Europe. But that you can see, for example, on the H2 Mobility app, what are the actual numbers. What we also see, because we are an international group and have subsidiaries in England, in Spain, in Switzerland and Austria, that there is a lot going on in Asia. North Korea, China, and Japan, and we also take a look on these countries with our partners.
All right. You said that the 6 refueling stations are not public that you sold. What do you think? Where is the potential higher? I mean, I can imagine that a lot of people are waiting for the structure to come before they decide to invest in an innovative car, for example. Where is the potential higher? And on such production sites, or on the ground of the companies, or in the public field, because maybe of funding for public stations?
I think what we are observing now in the last months with our RFQs that we are receiving, that is now a big increase in, we call it heavy duty. Yeah? So trucks, buses, and also trains. Yeah? So that I think is maybe a little bit a different situation compared to what we thought 5 years ago. Yeah? So we always said cars but trucks and buses, I think personally that is the right way if we focus especially there. Yeah? And that is also the reason why we have developed now our new bigger compressor, especially for those markets.
Yeah, and maybe with this bigger plants and really remarkable demand in hydrogen will arise.
Yes, that will for sure arise, for sure.
Okay, now you said you have one of these stations on your own site. How many of your employees are driving fuel cell cars right now, or how do you use it right now?
Yeah, that's a good question. We have one company car, and I would say that 15 to 20 people are using that car, and when they're always coming back with the car, and I see in their eyes, they're fascinated about how this car is driving and how fast it can be filled and the long distance that they're going. And in fact, we will of course increase that. We are planning for the cars, and in general, we think also about that maybe forklifts are right for us. So we have a long-term view, of course, and want to use internally also the hydrogen technology. That is very important.
Okay, great. Maybe as a last question, if there is any question from the audience. Okay, it doesn't seem like that. I have a last question. Can you give us a vision maybe for the next 2 years? What do you think will happen in the next 2 years with the hydrogen refueling and all the hydrogen fuel cell technology?
Yeah, I expect a strong increase, not in 1 or 2 years, it takes a little bit more of time, but in the next years, I would say, a strong increase in the area of buses and trucks. Yeah, that I think is very important, and that is for me, let's say, how we see the RFQs coming in, and I would say 70–80% are in this area, and so there is a strong increase there.
Okay, thanks for this vision. Thanks to the audience for joining us here, for your interest in this topic. And yeah, thank you, Mr. Hillebrand, for this nice interview. Thanks a lot.